Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2023 high-budgeted Netflix action film Extraction 2. The film is once again directed by Sam Hargrave and it stars Chris Hemsworth and a shit ton of people whose names I am not going to butcher here. Right, this is the direct sequel to Extraction that came out, was it about 3 years ago on Netflix? Very, very successful action film. It's a film I have reviewed on the channel. And it was indeed a very, very top-notch, high-quality action film. This film carries on directly from where the last one ended. And if you remember, spoiler alert, at the end of the last one, he is presumed dead. He kind of falls off that bridge, mortally wounded, and we assume he's likely to be dead. We learn in this film he isn't, in fact. But it takes an awful long time for him to recover. It takes him 9 or 10 months to recover from his injuries. He pretty much is retired at this point. And then he is asked by his ex if he will get involved in another job. And the job involves his ex's sister, who is unfortunately being held by a Georgian mob boss in a prison with him. Essentially, he's in prison and he's insisted that his family was put in prison with him so that he can keep his eye on them, and they're living basically a terrible life there. So he is asked essentially to go in and extract this family from this Georgian prison and try and get them out alive and relocated. As you could imagine, things don't go necessarily according to plan and it turns into all-out war. Right, what are my thoughts on Extraction 2? It's great. It's just fabulous. I mean, the quality, I think, of some of the action films that we're getting these days, we're getting, I mean, just absolutely top-draw stuff, because they're being made by people that know how to make these movies, you know, ex-stunt people and what have you. They're just so skilled at doing this stuff on screen. I mean, you could argue they're not as skilled in some other areas, you know, when it comes to, you know, character development and, you know, deep complex performances from the actors and stuff, but who among us watches action films for any of that bollocks? Not me, for sure. And this film absolutely delivers some of the most intense, over-the-top, creative action set pieces I think I've ever seen. This film can stand shoulder to shoulder with the majority of the John Wick franchise films. It's that good, and I mean, I can't really praise the John Wick films highly enough. They've just, each film that we've got, they just continue to better themselves, in my opinion, in regards to the stunts and the action. It's just breathtaking stuff. And this is very, very similar action. If it's not your sort of action, then you won't be interested. This just feels a little bit more grounded and gritty than the John Wick ones. The John Wick ones are fast, slick, you know, stylized, all that kind of stuff. This is not that sort of action. It's not slick and fast. Well, it is slick and fast, some of the action scenes, but it's not overly stylized. It feels gritty, it feels grounded, it feels realistic, and it's just an incredible watch. It's a feast for the eyes and ears, this film. It really, really is. It gives you the opportunity to catch your breath a couple of times in the film. And the setups, it takes about 10 minutes to get the film going. You know, we learn about him being injured from the end of the last film and his recovery and all this kind of stuff. Seems a bit odd that he gets back into action so quick, but you can understand why. It's probably the only reason why he would have got back into action was because he's been requested by his ex-wife to help her sister. And then it's just full on from that moment, really. I mean, to getting him out of prison was just incredible. I mean, there's a scene where there's like a riot in the grounds of the prison with all the prisoners and the guards and things like that, and he is trying to extract the mother at this point through this crowd of people, and I can't fathom how they filmed it, really, because it's just non-stop. And it's not him just battering people. I mean, he's getting battered himself. But it's that relentless, don't give up attitude that you get from him. And it's ruthless, it's brutal. And it was just, it's hard to say, but it may have been the standout sequence for the film for me. But it's full of them. There's a sequence on a train as well that it just blows your mind. You know, sometimes you'll watch an action film and you'll see like helicopters blow up or cars blow up and stuff, and you kind of like, that looks and feels staged. And whereas this looks so realistic. You know, he's shooting at helicopters and they're, you know, catching on fire and smashing into the ground, and it's like it all looks like in camera stuff. It doesn't look like it's been any CGI added. It just looks all in camera stuff. It's so impressive. Brilliant sequence. I mean, they're just all brilliant. There's a brilliant sequence in like a tower block building, and there's just the invention here that's going on with the action that you're seeing. It just staggers the mind, really. Great stuff. And they add in a couple of interesting things here. One of the children that he's trying to extract, who's a little bit older, he's like an early teenager, 11 or 12 years old. He's in two minds whether he wants to go back to this Georgian mob because he feels it's his duty to become one of these mobsters, sort of thing, and he makes a couple of poor decisions. So you see that kind of developing. He's in two minds whether to stay with his mother or go back to this Georgian mob, sort of thing. And the ending felt a little bit forced, I suppose you could argue, but it was superbly staged. Endless action, supremely entertaining. I probably enjoyed this more than the first one, if I'm being honest. It feels like it's going into a territory now where, again, it's understanding the character a bit more. It's understanding what it wants to be. I love the fact that, you know, what they're staging them in different parts of the world, sort of thing. It's really a fun action film first, and Chris Hemsworth is perfect for this part. And by the end of the film, it definitely hints at more. Definitely hints at more, because we've got Idris Elba, who kind of recruits him for this mission, turning up at the beginning and the end. So I suspect he might have a bigger part going forward in the, we might as well call it a franchise now, because it's likely to be. I think Netflix, you know, I mean, it's come such a long way, Netflix, from like just in the early days churning out Adam Sandler flicks, because he was the first one to really do it on Netflix, and now they are genuinely pumping out massively entertaining action films. These extraction films, make no bones about it, if these were released in the cinema, these would be probably box office wise on par with the John Wick films, I'm sure, in regards to the coin that they bring in at the box office. They're just superbly made action films on a really supreme level. I love watching action like this, because for so long, you know, I mean, we had the brilliant action films of the 80s and stuff like that, and they were just incredible, way over the top, but a lot of fun. And now we're into this era of action films where they're absolutely peaking, you know what I mean? You're wondering, where else can they go? You've got Tom Cruise with his Mission Impossible films taking it to another level. You've got the John Wick franchise taking it to another level. And now you've got the extraction films taking it to another level. You've got these films, and there's others you could probably give examples of in the comments. You know, they're going off, and, you know, they're taking these action films to a peak and a level that we've never really seen before. So I would definitely say, if you enjoyed the first Extraction, you're going to love this one. I personally think it's probably a little bit better, but I might be wrong. Can't even remember what I scored the first one. If I'm being honest, someone could look back at that and say, well, he scored the first one more than this one. But I think this is a really strong film, and I definitely suggest you guys check it out. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll be back with more reviews and content on the channel very soon.